welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk.
What brought you to the dance? What's the first thing you saw, read, played, that brought you into this wonderful world of geekness? What was the piece or content that you remember watching, reading, that made you see depth in the genre? And when did it stop being cartoony for you and a little more real? Which
Real
also
world
might be sad. And what are some of your favorite moments from our 100 episodes of podcast together? What are your three best moments in your opinion and why? So it's a two-part question. One has to do with your intro into geekdom and the other our podcast.
It's a three-part question, right? Intro to geekdom would be, man. That was like the cartoon and being able to buy all the toys and have all the toys simultaneously as the cartoon came out. It was everything for me. And then eventually it was Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters and of course Superpower and Batman. 66 with He-Man. That joint started. What started it for you guys?
It's got to be, for me, it's got to be Saturday morning cartoons. I don't know that I'd say one specifically, but it was kind of that and maybe the NES, the original NES console, playing games like Mario and Zelda.
Yes.
Even when I was 6 playing those games, I didn't even know what was going on, but I was doing it and enjoying it. So I think I must have been brainwashed at a very young age to enjoy this content.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for me, I did watch cartoons growing up, like Saturday mornings and whatnot, but they weren't as memorable as playing Nintendo, and specifically because Nintendo's already been, video games in general has always been like a thing that kept us together as a family.
Yeah.
So right. So one of the very Nintendo specifically, Legend of Zelda was the thing that I used to play. I used to watch my dad play Tiger Hilly because that was his game. And then we would get together and do the power pad, whatever. Playing the Olympic game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then fun fact, the thing the reason why I remember Zelda so much, it was like one of the very few times, if any, that me and my mother actually related, and that always stuck with me.
Wow. No, I had a similar experience with my pops, Rich. Pop, I know you're watching this right now. We were playing this game. What was it, Bionic Commando, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the guy who got the thing.
Yeah, you had like a robot arm, and we got to the end boss. And when I say we, I mean the children. Me, my brothers, my sisters, all took turns playing this game until we got to the end boss, and we could not take this guy down. Frustrating, man. We were so pissed. We was throwing controllers. And my pops walks into the room. He's like, what is all commotion about? I was like, this guy, we can't take him. He's like, let me have a crack at him. Yo, he killed the main boss in his first go. And in that moment, our father was a superhero. We were like, and then anytime we ever got stuck playing games, we're like, Pop, you got to get in here. So it's funny, man. It's like, I totally relate to what you said about your ma. It's like video games on some level, and also couch co-op. I mean, where's the game you used to sit on the couch next to your best friends and all collectively play whatever that game was, Ninja Turtles or whatever,
So I beat my first game of Rich Contra.
Yeah,
my first
game.
Right?
Oh, shoot.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like a chicken or the egg question. Either comes down to either cartoons or toys, but that's what got me into it. It's either the toys, like Lawrence said, you either watch the cartoon and buy the toys, or you buy the toys, you start watching the cartoon. But it definitely tied in close with cartoons and toys.
Do you remember what it was? What was the cartoon? What was the toy?
Honestly, maybe G.I. Joe. That was hardcore to G.I. Joe, Thundercats, He-Man, Transformers.
Transformers.
That's like a trilogy for me. And then I got to like, hi, Christian.
Yo, he is a maniac today in a great way, but man.
Yeah, man. But that's where I'm at. Yeah, because then I still got the toys. I still watch the cartoons, and that's really my thing. But toys is my jam.
So the second question: what was the thing that let you know, like this thing has depth? I'll go first. Reading The Death of Superman, I was like, this happens? He died. Blew my mind. I didn't know like Superman stayed dead for a while. Like that, and in the whole funeral stuff, I was like, whoa, this is deeper.
Yeah.
This is way deeper than I thought it was.
Yeah, honestly, I second that too. You know what's funny is, as a kid, I was in what's it? I don't know what it's called now. I honestly don't. So if this is an offensive term, I don't mean it offensively. I was in special education as a kid growing up. I had bad case of dyslexia. I had a speech impediment, and I could not read. And for me growing up, comic books ended up being the first thing I found myself enjoying reading. Guys, because all the pictures, right? And it was funny you mentioned the death of Superman, Lawrence, because one of the first novels or books I read was The Death of Superman as a novel. And after I finished reading this, I just started reading all kinds of books, like actual books, not picture books or comic books. I was like, this is so good, and I'm not scared of it anymore, and I enjoy the experience so much. It just opened this whole other world to me. Books, and you look at my bookshelf, I've thousands of books. I love reading. I don't read half as much as I'd like to. Wait, what happened?
I said it's kind of crazy how many books you had and have.
Yeah, and it was something that, as a kid growing up, and I don't even know that I identified that until later in my life, that's probably the role comic books serendipitously played for me. Is it made that thing that was challenging and hard and scary approachable and enjoyable,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're mute, Rich.
Are you muted, Rich?
You're on mute, Rich.
Shut up. Anyway, my neighbors are talking real loud. I don't know if they can hear them. I'll say for me, I was going to say anime was a thing that got me into it. And made me like, yo, this is real, because the storylines and whatnot. But now I really think about it, and I just had to Google it. I remember I would go over to my cousin's house, right? This is my second cousin, my dad's cousin. And she would make sure that we were comfortable, because, them being like real adults, and I was like a small little kid. She made sure that I was entertained. So I remember watching, every time I would go over there, I would watch the G.I. Joe movie and the Transformer movie.
Oh,
Had to do it every time I go over there. The thing you don't know about the G.I. Joe movie is that Duke dies.
Yep.
I know, yeah.
And I was like,
Prime.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Duke, I remember Duke dying was like the main thing for me. I was like, because he took a one of those Cobra staffs to the heart, and he died. And I just Googled it now, and they said off screen, Duke didn't die. He just slipped into a coma. And I don't remember that part in the movie.
I think they reneged on that later. I think he definitely died.
He's Rich is out.
Oh, he's back.
And he's back.
How was that?
I think they reneged on that later. I gotta look. I think in that movie he was dead.
Yeah, like I don't. Maybe there was some copies after that, and I wish I got that copy before she passed. But the copy that I watched, there was no captions after that. But when I saw it, I'm like, yo, people can die in cartoons.
Yeah, Transformers movie was the same thing too.
And I did that kind of again. I was like, and ever since then, I was like kind of looking for something more to that, and I found it within anime because really the regular cartoons you didn't really find that like the Saturday morning stuff.
Yeah,
But the anime people be dying.
Lawrence is out. You know what's funny? I probably owe my pop an apology. When I was a kid, I really wanted that Transformer toy from the movie. I wanted the Optimus Prime, and he got me the Rodimus Prime, who ended up being the lead of the movie because Optimus dies right off the top of it. Honestly, it never just occurred to me Optimus was such a small part of that movie. That toy was probably a lot harder to find.
Yeah.
So when he got me the Rodimus, the wrong toy, I told him not good enough.
Oh,
that's
wow!
Like 6,
that's
I was like 8 or 6 or something, and I tossed the toy off the balcony.
That's some bold. That's a bold childhood right there. Holy.
Jack, if I did that, then all my toys would be thrown off the balcony by my parents. So you don't want toys now?
No, you don't want these toys? Man, you don't want none of them.
I get beat.
No, I think I did too, though. I definitely had it coming.
That's wild.
Chris.
So 2 things. So Batman the Animated Series
is
when it showed depth. I mean, where there's actual consequences, and it's just, it just makes it less cartoony, less like campy. It took it from like a real, like almost it was so powerful that we're revisiting it now, being 40 years old. But but if you want to ask me when superheroes and comic books got real, that might be a question you need to ask Lawrence. Because it got real, we decided to make it real.
Shut up, Chris!
And Chris is out battling putties, I'm sure.
I'm giving you out, Chris. I'm giving you out. That's a problem with these. Secret identities mean nothing anymore. Nothing, Chris.
I'll just leave it at that. Where we decide to make things real.
You're not leaving it at that at all. You're telling them the whole thing.
Yeah, now you have to say it.
Chris!
We were planning on being superheroes for real. We were making gear, planning on going out and protecting the town, and we were in it to win it.
Protecting what town? Which town are we talking about?
Spring Valley, Rich. Ain't nothing nice in Spring Valley.
Yeah, town, Rich.
That didn't happen. That would have been a totally different story.
So 2 costume not even barely teenagers, 2 tools on the hilltop.
I'd have read that headline, just shook my head like these fools.
But yeah, man.
He did that. He did that after college too, Chris. Lawrence wrote a short where he played a vigilante superhero, and he showed up before even day 1. He had all the gear, and we're like,
because he made it already.
Because he already had it.
He already made it.
I don't know why. Secret identities used to matter.
Part of me, the reason why I like guns and bulletproof vests and all this other cool stuff I got, stun guns and all this crazy stuff I got, because it's a little bit of like superhero stuff, right? It's
Chris
kind of
has
I have a grappling hook. I have ninja claws. I have like a comb.
Half that stuff I brought to the shoot, Jack, was Chris from Chris's arsenal.
Yeah, you're right,
man. Yeah. And okay, and like Jack said, give me you 3 of your favorite podcast moments, man. Moments that we've enjoyed together.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite podcast moments was 2 of the 3 brothers was out, and it was Chris and I. I'm sorry, it was Rich and I flying solo for the first time, and we had a great talk, just the 2 of us. And I forget what the debate question was, but it was something stupid like you had to pick like 3 different personal elements to create an original character, and to this day, that's still one of my favorite moments of our podcast. Just I
When-
felt like it was one of the
when
best
Chris
talks.
and I weren't there. When Chris and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
weren't
yeah.
there, it was your
Yeah, when
favorite.
Chris and Lawrence were out.
I appreciate that, Jack. Thank you. That was a good time. I got a horrible memory, but one of the things that always just tickles me is getting that dick off the street. I'll be at work and it just pops in my head and I'll just start laughing. I'm like, that's so good.
You gotta give context for people that might have
Yeah, you
missed
gotta
that
give
episode.
context.
We were talking about
We were talking about what? One of the we were talking about Jason. We were talking about Running Robbins. Dick
Yeah,
Grayson.
Dick Grayson, yeah.
you're talking about like Batman rescuing these kids, and
Yeah.
Chris just get that dick off the streets. There it is. There it is.
Oh,
That
he did.
moment, hysterical.
Very funny. Very funny. Chris, do you have one?
Yeah,
We'll just go around. We'll do rounds.
I got a couple. You want to go one at a time? Just do one. You know, 2 weeks ago when we did Darius Love from Secret World Alex Mack, to have a platform that, number one, that I'm so proud of. Number two, that's respected, where we can go to people that we watched on TV and say, hey, this is who we are, and it's worth it for you to spend your time to come talk to us. And they see us and validate that means a lot. So, you know, he's not the most famous person we talk to. I mean, Jason is, you know, objectively more famous than he is. But the fact that we talk about so much nostalgia, the fact that we talked about that it was just me messaging him as us and who we are, and they recognize us, really kind of validated who we are and what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well done.
Yeah.
Also, the gems he was dropping on that whole episode were just great.
Wisdom, man. I have two that kind of roll into one. I enjoyed the moments where we got kind of into it, dealing with kind of the political implications or racial implications of what this content may suggest. One of the first times I think we were talking about how they took away truth, justice, and the American way from Superman and kind of went back and forth on like what is the American way and does it include everyone. And it was a really good conversation. And another one around that a little later, we were watching Soldier, the original Captain America. What's his name again? The black dude.
I don't remember his name. But I know I know.
Guy who first got the serum, and then Rich, you gave us that wonderful story about your grandfather, who in his experience and what it is to be black and be in the military. I just really appreciated how those organic conversations came out just from the content and the depth. I appreciate those moments. Jack, what's your number two?
I gotta say, our running gags have really kept me going for 100 episodes. Things like Batman '89.
That's all about the Keaton, Rich.
It's the
I got.
I don't know if he appreciates it as much as you guys.
I do. Venom.
Venom.
And you know, Zack Snyder is great. No, Snyder is great. No,
that was a gag.
Genuine.
You just can't.
No, I like Snyder. I think he's a visionary. I honestly think he's visionary. I'm not even being sarcastic right now. Stop laughing. It's not funny.
You're saying everything with an upward inflection, so it sounds not 100% genuine.
I'm being genuine. I've enjoyed our running gags.
Me too. Rich, what's your number two, man?
I mean, now that Chris brought it up, Mr. Love.
Yeah.
That was a really he had me just on the edge of my seat with it. Like, he was very inspirational. And just getting the background of Nickelodeon, the fact that he came out unscathed and that whole cast came out unscathed and how they were like a close-knit family.
Yeah.
That was dope. Yeah, and also like Chris, I didn't even really think about it, but yeah, like Chris said, the fact that he saw our platform was like, yeah, I could get down with these guys and rock with them, which kind of speaks volumes to what we're doing. I'm like, yeah, that kind of put a little pin on your chest, right? Like, yeah, we're doing good out here.
Okay.
But no, for those who haven't, y'all need to watch that that episode because it was
It's
a great
good.
talk.
Even if you've never seen Alex Mack, it's a wonderful conversation. Absolutely. I guess Chris, it's your number 2.
You remember your Miles Morales joke?
Mine?
Yeah. What they call Miles Morales in Europe?
Oh.
Kilometers Morales. This moment.
What?
Honestly, I haven't laughed. I laugh at you guys so much all the time, but that moment, we all laughed so hard, I almost passed out. So that's one of my number 2 moments.
Oh, that's good.
Was that the funny part though? I feel like there was something else that was said.
No, that was
that was the funny part, Rich. That was the funny part.
Oh, that's right. You gotta keep it PG. Okay, my fault. Yeah, you're right.
Because there was a little political commentary on that.
That was hilarious, though.
There was. Yeah. I don't remember any of this.
You don't remember?
The political commentary.
I'll tell you. Why don't you ask me? And I'll tell you. Why don't you ask me what they call Miles Morales in Europe?
I remember now. Exactly. I remember now. They call up. Did you hear me?
What's your second, Lawrence? What's your second?
My second, man. It's there was down. I got to tell you, but my second is I really enjoyed how much we all hated Venom and Chris. Because there's some reviews where we're arguing, and then there's some reviews where we're all on the same page. But that one in particular was so interesting. How much Chris just doubled down on how it was.
I love Venom, man. Venom is such a good time.
That review taught me that we don't necessarily have to love the content to have a great conversation about it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow War. I was like, we don't have to love it.
Tomorrow
to have a good conversation about it. I was like, okay. It doesn't have to be something we love or something we can have a good conversation about anything.
Yeah.
It's my number 2. Jack, what's your number 3, man?
My number 3 is a little harder because it's all the things I cut when I edit the podcast. I literally have to cut some of my favorite things I come across out of the edit. But even
incorrect.
Yeah, it's just hysterical stuff. Or even, I'd say something was hysterical, and I put some of it on the podcast, but a very small portion of it. A few weeks ago, for whatever reason, the stream kept recording. And Rich was by himself for like 30 minutes, just giving the most hysterical monologue I've ever heard. Dude, I laughed so hard that night just listening to what was coming out of his mouth. Made no damn sense. And by the end of it, he did the intro to the show in a way where I was like, yo, Rich, you should intro the show when Lawrence is not here. It was
just intro the show. Lawrence is here, Rich. Oh,
why? I was like, dude, I mean, the guy's got a voice, but just hysterical. But some of the stuff I cut out of the show is, it could have its own podcast, but it would not be this podcast.
Yo, eventually we'll get a freaking Patreon and we can go like 3 brothers after hours, and we can really say whatever we want. And it's okay because it's like private, so you can't be demonetized and all that stuff because it's like its own thing. We'll see.
Yeah. Rich. The other favorite thing I'm going to have about the show is when we actually start making money off of it.
We'll revisit that when we hit the 200 episode mark. Right.
Rich,
what's your number 3, man?
My number 3, again, I'm going to restate it. I don't have a great memory. But it's just the jokes, not the jokes you make, you come up with.
That is not true.
No,
You
not
laughed last time.
not the corner, not whatever we call that. Not that, but just when we're just talking, going off of each other, whether it be just something off of whatever topic we're talking about or whatever the news that was happening, or talking about just the jokes that pop up out of nowhere. Like the dick on the street. Get that dick off the street. Like, come on, like.
Gold.
Just it's just stuff that just has me dying laughing, just in
hardcore, made up, imaginary.
Right.
I think it's just all of Chris's. I think Chris is just the catchphrase guy. all stuff.
How dare you argue these facts I made up?
It's great. Like, you can't go back. Stuff like that. Like, it really. Like, I could honestly come on this show and like be having a bad day, and just after it, I'm just like, yeah, no, everything's all right. Yeah, everything's all right.
Mm-hmm. Well done, Chris. What's your number 3?
Number 3 is our fourth brother, my son Sebastian. He loves this show so freaking much. Like, before we were recording, I was telling you guys a story about how he went in school and told all his friends that he has a podcast, he has a YouTube channel, and they didn't believe him. And his teacher actually had to look it up. The teacher looked it up. His teacher follows us now on YouTube, and just the fact that he's so proud of it, and I get to do things with him, and it just makes me proud. So I enjoy it.
That's good.
My mom asked me why there are not more Chris and Bash videos in the store. Toy hunters.
There's gonna be more. He's like, I heard it. It's funny you brought that up, because we just set up his own YouTube account, more so I could curate the material that he watches. But he said something to me this morning. How come we don't have there's not more videos of me? So,
come on, Chris.
Yeah,
come on. And my third is along those lines. A lot of great moments, always a great time. But like my sister Jacqueline listens to this faithfully. And she's not a geek. She's not into this stuff, but she really enjoys our conversations. And she doesn't like to listen if all 4 of us aren't together. She's like, something's
great.
missing.
So she didn't listen to us last week, Rich.
She might have by accident.
We love you, Jack.
But she it's really cool to hear someone who just really listens to us and has something to say. And she's like, Chris is my favorite because he's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
fine.
That's
fine.
That's fair.
But it's the response that we get from people, even on our YouTube channel. When I get comments about our videos or the toys, one dude was like, "Thank you so much for doing that bootleg Spider-Man video, because I was thinking about buying one." I'm like, "Don't buy it." I'm enjoying the community that's being created from this a lot. Yeah, man. Yeah. And I think that's it as we wax poetic about ourselves. I think that's as we just talk about how awesome we are and all our great moments.
That's it.
If you guys are interested, like I think in the description below, check out the podcast. We also have social media. Hit us up. We're everywhere. We're dropping content all day, every day. And I promise my reception will be better next time. But we'll see you next time. Same bat time.
Same bat channel.
Peace.
We're happy 100, Jack.
Happy 100.
Happy 100.
Happy 100.
Happy 100. Another moment I really appreciated was the time we all learned just what a nerd Chris is, in addition to being a geek. Remember when we reviewed Jason's comic book? He's now doing pre-sales for.
Yeah.
For you guys that don't know, it's this political thriller, and Chris went all into like World War I and the backstory, and I'm like,
Vietnam and stuff like that. Yeah. It's an interesting time. It's super interesting time.
He's a nerd.
Yeah, what was it called? The Prayer for the Hunted.
Yeah.
Which is on pre-sales now.
Yeah, it was a good comic. I liked it.
Yo, but
Comic,
you
don't plug
got
it too much. They're not paying us. Don't plug it too much. They're not paying us.
all right. Sorry, but Chris got so nerdy.
Very nerdy.
Yeah, a good
Very
time I
nerdy.
had was kind of off camera though. Was when I got to talk to Jack's mom.
Oh, you got to tell me about that. Yo, she
Yeah,
called me later and she goes, I don't know if I said some stuff I shouldn't have said. She kind of got a funny memory from time to time, my
well,
mom.
we can talk about that when we stop recording. But she introduced me to the duck, the chickens, your dog, and your sister.
Yeah, that sounds like mama.
Yeah.
You are pretty much family,
I
Rich.
love
That's
that.
it.
I love
That's
that. I love that. Well, we'll see you same bad time.
Same bad shadow.
Yeah, peace again.
Happy
Peace
100.
again.
Peace.
Happy 100.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. We're talking